From the CBS Bay Area studios, this is KPIX 5 News.
Well, a lot of talk going on right now about how to replace Oakland's aging stadium. It's been the butt of a lot of jokes, but it wasn't always this way. Still to come why you might want to have a little sympathy for the Coliseum.
So it's long overdue. I mean, we've been waiting for this for 10 years, so we're finally there. The money's there.
The money is there. Well, that was Oakland City Council member Noel Gallo. He was telling me about the money and optimism building behind a last-minute push to save the Raiders. It's an effort led by former Hall of Famer Ronnie Lott aimed at raising enough private money to replace the Oakland Coliseum, a building that quietly turned 50 back in September.
Well, these days all we hear about is how outdated the Coliseum and the Oracle Arena have become. But as KPIX5's Wilson Walker shows us, they were not only cutting edge in their day, they were an absolute steal.
This is the hallway where the visiting players enter and exit the field.
Rainwater on electrical equipment, sewage in the clubhouse, and likely very little time left as a major league stadium. Sometimes you just have to stop and remind yourself that 50 years ago, this place was an absolute gem.
A bird's eye view of the newest landmark in Oakland, the Coliseum.
It was built with a kind of a rawness and simplicity, but a real elegance.
Craig Hartman is senior design partner with Skidmore, Owings & Merrill, the architectural firm that designed the complex back in the early 1960s.
It was a very, very innovative structure, and again, the architect and structural engineer Myron Goldsmith was a genius at this, and the use of both the land and geometry. These buildings were nestled down into the land, and they're very, very Californian in that regard. This sort of relationship between the architecture, the structure, the land, the climate there being so beautiful, it has a real sort of a California vibe about it.
Not only a mix of cutting edge and California vibes, this was an absolute bargain.
Even then, it was inexpensive. It was $25 million, I think, for the entire complex.
That's about $186 million in 2016 dollars. But these days, a new stadium for just the Raiders would easily cost $1 billion. And remember, the complex ultimately provided a home for 3 professional sports teams.
It was part of the entire sort of American ethos at the time about the idea of making places that were flexible, transformable, that could serve multiple uses.
And so multi-purpose stadiums sprouted like weeds all across the country, at least until fans realized they were pretty lousy places to actually watch a game.
The intimacy that makes baseball such a wonderful sport to watch versus the enormous spectacle that football is are just two things that, no matter how transformable the facility may be, just really are kind of oil and water. They just don't really come together very well.
So yeah, as far as its identity as a sporting venue goes, this place is a dinosaur. But you can also think of it as a pretty nice timepiece for America at the middle of the 20th century.
This is the American dream of freedom on wheels.
You had white flight from the cities,
traveling on time-saving superhighways,
to cheap, plentiful land in the suburbs,
One subdivision after another.
and oh yeah, large public infrastructure projects were pretty darn cheap. Now, if you think about it, all of those factors which gave us a building like this are now in total reverse. One by one, nearly all of the Coliseum's multi-purpose siblings have been wiped off the map. As for the Oakland Coliseum, it got a rather infamous renovation back in 1996.
I don't like it. I used to be able to see the Oakland Hills. It used to be a beautiful stadium. Now it looks like a mess. I don't think it's going to look good when they finish it either.
And the stadium really is just about finished. Its expiration date now only a matter of time, money, and politics.
We do not think it's appropriate to repeat the mistakes of the past.
And one mistake might be giving up on the current Coliseum property. After all, BART came rolling in after the Coliseum, so the area is now more transit accessible. And planners think it could be an ideal spot for a more urban stadium development.
For lots of reasons, some intended and some accidental, I think that site is a really extraordinary site.
So as you hear more talk about this obsolete facility with no future, remember that the Coliseum is also a portrait of our past.
If you look quickly as you drive by it, it almost looks like the Roman Coliseum.
What was once state-of-the-art, now the last of its kind, and despite all of its flaws, it's still standing.
Partly a testament to this sort of, we'll call it the strength of the bones of this design of this facility that has made it have such longevity.
In Oakland, Wilson Walker, KPIX 5.
And the soonest the new stadium proposal could be discussed publicly is at the Oakland City Council meeting that is on December 13th.